This is going to be a brief introduction to Dreamweaver CS6, the workspace for CS6, and also just setting up a basic page. So when you open up CS6, you get this screen, as you can see in front of you. First thing you need to do is set up your site. What this base is telling Dreamweaver where your site is located. So I'm going to work with the Massage for You case study. I've already set up the folders, so make sure they're already done. And I'm just going to make sure I know what this is. You just call yours Massage for You. I'm calling it CS6 because I've got several versions. Now what we need to do is find the folder where the case study is actually kept. Now in my case that's on my USB stick. If I can find it here. So drill down, find your folder, find out where you've got your root folder, which is the top level folder for your website. So mine's here, so I'll double click on it and I just press select. And if I press save, at this point if you look down on the right hand side here, you'll see that all your folders are shown in the files panel. Now if you're not seeing this panel, the files panel, you need to go to the window option at the top. You can see that I've selected various bits and pieces like properties, CSS styles. CSS styles is this panel on the right here. Files is this panel here. They're the ones I want to have. So if you haven't got those open, make sure you've opened them. So now Dreamweaver knows where my site is. It knows where the root folder is. That's my root folder, and that shows all the folders within it. So I can work within Dreamweaver and the Dreamweaver workspace. Let's set up a basic HTML file. So I'm going to go to File, New, and Dreamweaver comes up with a number of styles of web page where it's already created the styles for you. There's all various types. I'm just going to keep it simple for the moment. I'm going to use this 2-column fixed right sidebar header and footer, and it gives you a little picture of what it looks like. So I'm going to press create and I get a basic web page. This is a web page I could display in the browser and it'd look as it does on the screen. The CSS workspace. So you've got the main page here, which is your web page as you're designing it, and it's what you see is what you get near enough. So what you have here, what you design here, and what it looks like is what it's going to look like in the browser. There's various other views. I'm at the top. If you look at the top left here, I'm in design view, so I'm designing a web page. I can use the middle one, which is split. Now split view shows you the CSS, sorry, the HTML that Dreamweaver will generate from this web page. So if I click, for example, on this word instructions at the top, you'll see that down on the left here the instructions is highlighted, and it's part of a H1 tag, top level heading tag. So if you want to see the HTML and the design on the same one, you have that. If you want to see the HTML on its own, you just press on code, and this is all the HTML code and the CSS code that will be generated by Dreamweaver. So that's the HTML code which covers the content, and the CSS which covers the styling. We're going to work mainly in design view. This live view just shows you it as it. There may be slight differences between your design and how it look on the web, so you can click on live. But operate in the design view, so don't have the live on there, have the design tag. Okay, so we've got the basic, we've got the panels on the right, we've got the workspace in the middle here with the different views, and down the bottom here, this panel down the bottom is called the properties panel. What appears here changes based on what you're working in your design bit at the top. So if I click, for example, at the top here, if I wanted to change something, I could go to CSS stylings, or if I click down the bottom I could go to HTML, and for example I could change this heading here from a H1 heading to, I don't know, a heading 3, and you can see it changes. Just like any other piece of software, I can remove changes and I can do the undo. So that's the basic workspace. What I want you to do at this point in time is open up Dreamweaver if you haven't already. Make sure you set your site up, so you go to Site, New Site, and then basically give it a name, and then use the drill down using this local site folder to the root folder, the top level folder you've created for your website, and press Save, and then you'll get that. If you're not seeing on the right hand side the panels, remember to use the window option, and you want CSS styles, files and properties showing at least, and then go to File, New, and create one of these web pages. If you need to rewind the video to see those in a bit more detail, then do that. So stop now, go to your own version of Dreamweaver, create the site and this page just as it is now. Okay, so we've got the page ready. Now what we're going to do is I need to make some alterations to this basic page to get it ready for the page I want to create, which is for the Massage for You case study. I don't need this space in the corner here for logo, so I'm just going to delete that. I don't really need all this text either, so I'm just going to delete that as well, just so I know what I'm doing. I've just left the basic paragraph text, it's called there, and the heading text, so I can look at that later. What else do we need to get rid of? Well, I don't really need this. I'm going to keep the first line just so I know where my paragraph starts. Get rid of that. These links at the top here are navigation links which CS6 puts in, so you can put in hyperlinks which will be links to other pages, but we're not going to use that, so I'm going to get rid of that as well at the moment. And the last thing I need to trim up is this particular area here, which is the footer. I'm going to put some other things in there. I haven't got much of a page left, but we're going to fill that with content in the next video. So I've got the basic page ready. I've just spotted something here actually. There is a space between my cursor, if you can see at the edge. I'm not sure why that is, so I'm going to go to Split and see what's causing that. Okay, I can see what it is. You can see my cursor is here on the right. If I look at the HTML code, I can see there's a paragraph tag there. I don't want that, so I'm just going to get rid of that. Let's see what we have. I'll click on Design. So I should have got rid of that. Yeah, my cursor can now go right over to the left hand side. When we start creating the page for Massage for You, you'll see why I've done that. Page is looking okay. I want to make some changes though to the size of these particular areas here. The content, this is called the content side. This is the part of the page, if you like, let's just expand it a little. That's the part of the page where you're going to have your main content, what the viewer wants to see. On the right hand side you've got the sidebar where you're going to put some sort of additional information like adverts. Let's just fill that out so we can see it as well. They're not quite the right size for the case study we need. I want to make this, the main content area, slightly smaller because I've got some information I want to put into the sidebar. Now the way you do that is you need to change the what's called the CSS, the styling for this section called content. There's a number of ways of doing that, but the easiest way is if you go over to the panel on the right and you click on all, I'm going to see all the styles, and then expand this. Let's just make that view a little bit better. Okay, you've got a load of different styles down here. These are styles for various parts of the page. As I said, this area here, this white area, is called the content. If excuse me, if I double click on the style on the right hand side, I get a little pop-up which is how I can change the way that content area of the page looks and is styled. And I want to change its size, so I know I've got to click on this thing called box, and what this is the width of the area and certain things like padding around it as well. I'm going to make the width a lot smaller. I'm going to make it 730 pixels wide, and I won't explain why we need to do this at the moment. There's something called float right. I'm going to make that float left, and I'm just thinking there's one other thing I need some spacing on the right. I need to make a margin on the right hand side, and everything's measured in pixels, so I'm going to do this as 10 pixels, and I'm going to apply that. Probably can't see a lot of difference. What's happened is that this area, this dotted line, is the area of my content. I've made it slightly smaller, and there's a gap between that and the sidebar. That's the margin of 10 pixels. The sidebar I've left the same size. Basically I just wanted to create a bit more space between my content, this area here, and the sidebar. So pause the video at this point. What you need to do is get rid of your text in the header and the footer. Clear out your text in the content and the sidebar area, just leaving this space, some text in there just as a guide. And then the final thing you need to do is go to the content style here, double click on it, go to box, and then change this to 730 and then put your margin here. If you want to see that in a bit more detail, then rewind the video to the points where I was explaining that. So pause the video at this point and change those things I have just shown you.